game week this week, big rivalry week. Everybody's excited. 100 miles of hate. So I know both teams will be really excited to play, and it's always been a great game. It usually comes down to the last series or the last play, and they have a great staff at Middle Tennessee. I know a lot of those guys, and they do a really good job over there. So I know their kids will be fired up, as will ours, and looking forward to a great game. So with that said, questions.
Coach Jared McDonald with the Daily News. And I know you talked a little bit about the rivalry, but you as a coach, do you approach it any different, or do you have any different feelings going into a game like this where it is such a big rival as compared to another game?
Not really. No, obviously you're realistic about what the game is and the importance of the game, but I approach it the same, and our staff does, and really doesn't change your work week or all those kind of things. You have to be able to know that it's an emotional game. There's going to be a lot of highs and lows, and you got to be able to find that balance. And and so that plays into it a little bit. Your guys will be really motivated, and as will they, and so you got to be able to manage those things. So as a coach, you talk to your team throughout the week about what to expect, different scenarios that could play out. I think about I watched Middle Tennessee this past weekend when they played UTSA, and offensively they got it going again. I thought the quarterback did a good job, but they were down 14-3, I think, and then they fight their way back, and then in the middle of the third quarter they're up. So you got to talk to your team about playing a full 60 minutes, understanding, I know you probably get tired of me saying understanding it's the last 5 minutes, go win it in the last 5 minutes. And, you just try to hit those points and hammer them home with your football team.
Coach, this is Nick with the College Heights Herald. So on that note, both of these programs are looking for their first win of the season. And it's a conference game as well, and they lost their first conference game. So how intense would you perhaps, think this matchup is going to be, and how dire is it to get this first conference win of the season?
Well, I don't think it makes or breaks your football team win or loss either way. For us, it's our first conference game. It's really important from a momentum standpoint. It allows you to have some good momentum. Now you're 1-0 in conference. That's extremely important, but at the same time, it doesn't break your season either. I talk about all the time, you got to look at the full body of work over the season. How did you finish? And so, you just try to approach it from that mindset. Middle Tennessee is very much in the conference hunt. They're not out of it by any means. Every team can probably have a loss and still be in the running for a conference championship. So, we both have a ton to play for, and then you throw on top of it being a rivalry game. So I do think you should see some pretty good football out there.
Coach Jared with the Daily News. I know you touched on their offense getting it going a little bit, only 14 points in the first two games, and I believe 35 on Friday night. They were able to get some chunk plays, which just listening to them in their Zoom, hadn't sounded like they were able to do in their first couple games as much. You guys have been a little bit susceptible to give up some of those chunk plays through your first two games. I guess, how do you make sure they don't have those opportunities here Saturday?
Well, you have to prepare for everything, and you hope that the preparation that you went through with that throughout the week got your guys ready. They'll know what to expect. They know what's coming at them. This will be the third game in a row where our defense really has to play an athletic quarterback that can run around and create and make plays, and they do a nice job in the RPO game. So they've stretched the field. I mean, you have to cover the whole field, and so it'll be the third game in a row for our defense that'll have a great challenge on their hands. I think if you can get after the quarterback, get him off his spot, make him throw the ball when he doesn't want to, kind of mess up his timing, that's going to be big. Obviously, stopping the run. We got to be able to stop the run. And, like you said, they made some chunk plays there, some big plays. I mean, they threw it down there a couple times. Guy was double covered. made a great catch, 2 or 3 great catches. But that's what you do when you're going to win football games. You got to make the plays when it's time to make those plays. And so, our defense will have a great challenge. I think back to the Liberty game, though. That's a good offense that we played. And for all the mishaps we had, and maybe we didn't play as good as we wanted to defensively, we gave up 30. And so I think back to our offense, hey, we got to be a 30-plus football team offensively. We've got to be able to help our defense take some of that pressure off of them, to feel like they don't have to hold a team to 20 or 24 or something like that. And I don't mind saying that. I think we have the pieces there offensively. I think we're getting close, but we got to go out there and make it happen. We got to have 30-plus points in our games that we play, and that's going to really help us defensively. It takes some of that stress off them.
To kind of follow up with that, do you feel like there's going to be more shots that you guys are going to be able to take downfield? I know they said that they felt like they gave up some shots over the top, and UTSA, I believe, had 7 players with receptions of at least 14 yards in the game. So,
yeah, I think, the plan is always to try to throw it down there. I think back in the first 2 games, we had a couple calls where we had an opportunity to throw it down there. Piggy had to scramble, or protection broke down, or those kind of things. But when we did throw it down there, we did make some good plays. And so, we got to be more consistent of that. I don't want to I want to play our style of football. I want to be able to say, hey, you can run the football, you can have good drives, and when it's time to put it up, make the play. And, and to me, it's about play off the strengths of your team, and our team is about playing good team football. Our defense, if they're playing well, they're able to keep them down in the low 20s, those kind of things. Then our offense needs to be able to put together consistent drives. Now, along the way, you don't want to have a bunch of 12 and 14 play drives. You'd like to say, hey, you had a 4 or 5 play drive, and you threw it down there, and you were able to make the catch. So team football, I think, is really important for our team. I think we had that last year. I look back to the Liberty game. We had a big 4th down stop, and then we weren't able to do anything offensively. Late in the game, our offense scores. Now it's 30-24. We got 3 minutes left, 3 timeouts. If we can make a defensive stop, get the ball back to the offense, try to go win the game, put it in the offensive hands to go win the game. That's what good team football is all about. We haven't done that yet. We haven't been able to play off of each other yet. So that's what we're trying to find right now. Hopefully we'll find it in the Middle Tennessee game.
Coach Nick again here, and build off of the offensive comments that you just made. So you're now going to be without, this has happened over the course of 2 weeks, having Pearson leave and Sloan leave. So what wideouts this past week have impressed you and think will probably make a good impact in this game on Saturday?
I really like our wideouts. I think offensively we're very close to be able to put all the pieces together. I think not having Sloan and JP, you would definitely like to have those guys. I think they did a lot for our offense. That's not to say, though, we don't have the other pieces there to be able to make up for the slack. I really like Mitchell Tinsley and Craig Burt, our 2 outside receivers. I think they're coming along nicely. I think their best football is ahead of them. Dayton Wade is going to have to take on a bigger load offensively now with the loss of Sloan and JP. I think he's willing to embrace that. I think of a Dalvin Smith, who's kind of that hybrid tight end body. He can play in the box. He can be stretched outside. He really causes some matchup problems. So really, really like him. And then you look at 2 other big bodies on the outside, Xavier Lane and a Therese Trainer. I mean, those are 2 big bodies as well. Everybody has different skill traits. They all bring something different to the table. You think of Josh Simon, that you'd like to be able to get the ball to. So we got pieces there. It's just being able to utilize them and be able to maximize those opportunities. And I think the run game's really important. I think we got some depth at running back, and we got to be able to hand the ball off and get some good positive yardage and keep the chains moving, where it's not a scenario where you're just hoping that your receivers can just always make big plays. So I'm excited about where we can go offensively. That's not reality, though. We got to make reality happen. And so hopefully we can put all those pieces together.
Coach, I know you touched on Asher O'Hara a little bit. You saw him late in the season last year, over 300 passing yards, nearly 150 rushing. Only 3 games so far this year that you've seen them play on film. I guess, have you seen his game change or evolve at all during that short, period of time that it could have?
You know what? It's one of those deals. I don't see any difference in him. First of all, I think he's an excellent quarterback. I think he gives a defense tremendous problems. I think he's an unbelievable competitor. When you watch him take off and run with the football, he is fearless. He's willing to sacrifice his body. I mean, he'll dive and throw his body into oncoming traffic. And that's a sign of a true competitor. So I don't see any difference in his play. It just hasn't gone right for him for whatever reason. Now, it started to go right in the last game. I mean, you put up 30-plus points offensively. Hey, that's a good, solid day at the park. So I think his game's coming together. I expect to get his best game. I expect to get their offense's best game. So we better, as a team, play our best game. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at a 500-yard-plus offense for Middle Tennessee. So he is an excellent quarterback. Unfortunately, I would say in the first 2 games, it didn't work out for him, and he had a costly interception early in the UTSA game. I think they made the right approach probably of saying, hey, you're our guy, and probably took a little pressure off of him to just go out there and play. But they're kind of like where we are offensively. They're starting to find the pieces. They're starting to click. So that's what we want to do offensively. So I really like him. I think he's a tremendous competitor. I think he's going to play some great football on Saturday.
Coach Nick, go ahead and go, Jared.
Yeah, just in terms of housekeeping, I know you said some bumps and bruises last week when you had you. In terms of your overall health, how would you evaluate where it's at? And are we expecting everybody to be available on Saturday?
We do have bumps and bruises. I would say yes to that question. Craig Burt, our outside receiver, has a little bit of an injury he's trying to get through. I think that's 50-50 of whether he'll be able to play or not. I'm okay sharing that just because we talk about, hey, Therese Trainer, Xavier Lane, let's go. Come on, guys, So, we're pretty healthy. Yeah, we're pretty healthy. I think in the linebacker position, we got some new guys that will roll in there a little bit. We played them a little bit last game. We need those guys to be able to come on and be productive for us. But feel pretty good where we're at. Got to get through this week being healthy. Hopefully we have a good week of practice.
Coach Nick here again. So you just spoke about having offensive success in this weekend's game. And so what parts of specifically, Terrell Pigram's game would you like to see perhaps come out and him utilize this weekend to be at the helm of the offense and capitalize on those chances this week?
It's kind of been a situation where I really feel like he's done some really good things, and it hasn't been necessarily him for maybe some of the lack of success offensively. It's just been the scenarios that he's been in. So I really, would you like him to make a throw here or there? Yes, but that's just playing quarterback. I think we got to be able to sustain drives. You know what I'm saying? He's I think back to, our last 2 drives right before the half, we make a nice drive, we score. In the last game, we come out the first series of the second half, we score, so, things were starting to click there. So we got to consistently in our series be able to have success and be able to score. And unfortunately, that falls onto the quarterback. Whether his fault or not, he's the one touching the ball every play. And so, I think back again to Liberty. Maybe had 5 series in the second half. It was our first series and our last series that we scored, and we didn't look all that hot in between. So that's where we got to get consistent. It's consistent drives, consistent series. Limit the dang 3 and outs. That really puts pressure on your defense when you go 3 and out. So, but I think Piggy's progressing really nicely. As long as he keeps taking those positive steps, hopefully we'll have all those pieces together.